Hello, welcome to episode 4 of the Devlog series for my procedurally generated RTS game, Phos. In the last month, I mainly focused on designing and implementing the new progression system into Phos. Phos used to have a research-based progression system. Research was organized into a research tree with a different tree for each of the 6 building categories. Each research category would have a building dedicated to progressing in that category. Initially, this seemed like it would be a good system, but after implementing it, several flaws became clear. The biggest of which was that almost all of the interaction with the research happens on a separate screen, disconnected from the rest of the game. It also contradicted with the setting of the game. I spent a lot of time trying to come up with a better solution. I eventually settled on a system loosely inspired by the progression in They Are Billions and Supreme Commander Forged Alliance. Both of those games involve you building a new structure that will unlock new things. In Phos, there will be a series of buildings that will unlock the next tier of a category of buildings. These unlocks happen instantly upon construction and will also provide a fairly sizable buff to nearby buildings and units. Strategic placement will be encouraged to make the most out of the buff. The player must protect these buildings. If they get destroyed, then the player will lose access to everything it unlocked. The player will only be able to build one of each of these buildings. I feel like this will lead to very interesting gameplay. The first step in implementing this new progression system was to plan out the flow of progression. There are currently 6 tiers of progression planned. The final tier, Tier 6, will be a special tier that unlocks the big and fun toys to play with, similar to experimental units in Supreme Command. I created this chart in order to aid with the planning and organization of the new progression system. This progression is by no means complete. There will definitely be more additions to it, and some stuff may get moved around or removed entirely. Each of the tech tiers lines up nicely with the resource tiers. This is a chart I created a while ago to show the resource flow throughout the game. Implementing the AoE buff for tech buildings was an unexpected challenge. The buildings would need to do 3 things in order to function correctly. First, it would need to apply its buff upon the construction of the building. Second, it would need to apply its buff to new buildings built within range of it. And finally, it would need to remove its buff when it gets destroyed. The first and last functions are easy to implement since I already have the mechanisms required implemented into the game engine. The second function would require entirely new features to be added to the engine. I would need to implement the ability to observe the changes of tiles at any position on the map. Currently, any tile can observe the changes of neighboring tile. This is used for the implementation of adjacency bonuses. My first idea was to add an event to each tile that can be subscribed to by other tiles. A tile can then notify other tiles of changes, but that wouldn't work, because when a tile is replaced, the events would also be destroyed. It will also cause quite a bit of fragmentation and likely lead to memory leaks and bugs. My second plan involved adding an event to the map itself. Since all tile changes require interaction with the map, it's easy to hook into existing logic to fire the event. And this would also serve to decouple events from the tiles. One downside, however, is that this technique does not observe a specific tile, but rather all tiles at once. When any tile is replaced, the event is triggered with information on which tile was changed. The tech building can then determine if that new tile needs to receive a buff. With those features implemented, Phos now has a progression system again. As of right now, I've only added the buildings for progression from Tier 1 to Tier 2. It will take a fair bit of time to design the buildings for each tier and the buffs they will give. My main priority for the next month will be to have the buffs represented in the UI. Right now, my overall goal is to get the early game to a fun state. For this, I need a lot of feedback on the way things currently are. You can download the current build from the link in the description and tell me what you think about it. You can join the Discord server to keep up to date with the latest builds of the game. If you like Phos, then be sure to add it to your wishlist on Steam. And remember to subscribe for more devlog videos.